My name is Alia Nordstrand. I'm 16 years old and I go to Whānau Girls High School. I wasn't really emotional, or I didn't really feel any heavy emotions when I was first diagnosed. I was kind of just like, oh yeah, I saw it coming. I wasn't really emotional until a couple of weeks after I was diagnosed, where I pretty much just had a breakdown when all my emotions came rushing at me at once, and I just felt useless, I guess. Like, why me? Why did I get this? But now being diagnosed, I don't think I would change anything that's happened to me, because it's helped me learn a lot about myself and taking care of myself and my health. Welcome to my crib, MTV. In the morning, I wake up, have breakfast and just get ready for school. I carry this around. This is like, I haven't had to use it yet, thank God. It's a glucagon pen, I think it's called. You mix it together and you jab it in my leg. And then for hypo stuff, I have a bag of jet planes. Usually I just grab any kind of lollies, and a juice box, which I don't have the straw to. Oh wait, it's right here. So that's pretty much my hypo stuff that I have pretty much every day with me. And my kit, oh, my messy kit. Oh no, I'm kind of embarrassed because it's so messy. Oh no. Well, there's a piece of here. Yeah, it's really messy. Usually it's not this messy, but it's got all my needles that I have to use, my insulin pen, a ketone tester just in case my levels are too high and I'm not feeling well. So I always have to just keep it in the back of my head to make sure, do I have this? Do I have this? And do I have this? My mum always nags me about it as well. Do you have your hypo kit? Do you have your insulin? And all that stuff. When I get to school, it's normally end of first period where I have to do my after breakfast testing, but I'm still in class when I test, and everyone in my class, they're pretty, you know, like, it's just normal for me to do it, to test, and they're all pretty accepting of it. But sometimes I do get a few looks like, oh, is that your blood? And just silly things like that, but it's not something that really affects me or phases me. I always normally sit in the same classroom every lunch with my group of friends. They're all really acceptive of it, and it's quite normal for them to for me to pull up my shirt and do my injection, so it's nothing really dramatic. Back to top, all my needles,
My name is Heath, I'm 19 years old and I live in Whānau and I do part-time work at Domino's Pizza.
This here is my Domino's jacket.
My diagnosis, I wouldn't say like massively affected things in the immediate, or when I found out. It was like, oh, I've got this. So how do we tackle it? Yeah, I think we did a good job in the beginning. It's not a condition that actually will physically stop me. It's just the mental aspects where it may play with your mind a bit, but I've always seen it as a potential reward in the end, that if I end up somewhere, that having to do it with this as well will make it feel more rewarding at the end. Down the line I want to end up in a job in public service, so either council or parliament or somewhere along that lines. When Theresa May became the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, she became the first type 1 diabetic in the world to hold a head of government position, being myself with a dream to have that position as well, whether you like the woman or not. Yeah, I found it kind of at a role model level where I can look to her and see, wow, yeah, there we are.
I'm Vanessa and I live in Whangarei. I've lived here my whole life and I have type 1 diabetes. My journey with type 1 diabetes has been huge and I've learned a lot about my health and things that I didn't know happened inside my body when I ate food. And also I've learned how to be independent. So when I was first diagnosed, it was a big shock. I think it was because we didn't really know anything about type 1 diabetes. I thought diabetes was caused just from eating too much sugar. And my dad knew a little bit about it, and I think he was probably quite devastated. I think that was the first time I ever saw him upset or with tears in his eyes. And my mum found it really hard because she was worried about looking after me and having to learn stuff about my insulin and being responsible at that point because I wasn't responsible enough to do my own insulin because I was too scared to do it. Yeah, and so it was really, really scary for her. I stayed in the hospital for a week. When I left, they decided to throw like this little feast at McDonald's for all these type 1 diabetics, and so we could all meet and stuff, but it was too soon, too early for me. And I got there and freaked out because there were these young teenagers that were all managing their own diabetes. I was getting my mum to do my insulin for me. I was even drawing like little circles on my stomach on where she could do my insulin, and all these other diabetics were just doing their own insulin, writing down their levels in these record books, and I just got really flustered. And at that point I didn't even know if I could eat McDonald's, and yeah, it was just really scary, and I ended up having a hypo, and then I didn't want to do my insulin in front of everyone or like test my levels, so I went to the bathroom with my mum, and then I met this other diabetic, and then she was type 2, and she was just washing her hands while I was trying to do my level, and I felt really ashamed for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yes, I pretty much met my first type 2 diabetic in the McDonald's bathroom at this McDonald's feast, and I was just feeling so overwhelmed, so we ended up leaving and getting drive-through, and that was my first McDonald's since my diagnosis, so it's quite an important event. You're not always going to get it right, and you don't have to. I mean, when I was diagnosed, it sounded like life and death, but it's not. You just manage it and you make mistakes, and it's okay. There's no time frame, there's no time limit on when you have to learn things, do things. If you're struggling, you're allowed to struggle. It's totally normal. There's people out there that really want to help you, like nurses and medical professionals. They really do want to help you, and they might not always say what you want to hear. In fact, half the time they're never going to say what you want to hear, but just make from it what you can. They're not the enemy, I guess, is what I want people to know. I used to think some of them were bossy, but it was just because they were telling me what I didn't want to hear.
Hi, my name's Honey. I'm 22 years old. When I was 11, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. It was a bit of a shock to the system. It was learning about a whole different disease that I didn't have any previous knowledge about, and it was adjusting to a new lifestyle of having to eat different food, having to count carbohydrates, and being able to inject myself as well.
Okay, thank you.
Some of the challenges were just things like being at school, having to learn how to take care of myself, and working with my parents and my family. We had a couple of problems with just not communicating with one another, and Mum and Dad would sometimes get really worried that I wasn't looking after myself. It put a bit of pressure on our relationship, but once we learnt to talk more and have that trust, things worked a lot better. Appointments were quite hard for me to go to as a kid, just because I didn't always have the best control over my type 1 diabetes. Before I would go to my appointments, I would always be really anxious, just because I didn't want to feel like I was a bad kid because I had bad levels.
So we're just gonna test your blood sugar.
As I've gotten older and I've learned that these services are here to help me and I shouldn't be afraid of going to my appointments, it's helped a lot with just going there and being able to ask for help for what I really need, and also for realistic plans that are going to work for me and goals that I can actually reach. Yeah, I know why they happen, and I can always recognise when they come. I guess there has been a lot of times where people have judged me based on my type 1 diabetes. I've had people that don't even know what type 1 diabetes is come up to me and question why I'm eating something, and the meal could just be hot chips and steak, and they're saying that it's got too much sugar in it, but they have no idea. Some things that people say, it can be quite hurtful. Since I've learnt to tell people that they're wrong and that they should learn more about type 1 diabetes, it has helped for me to deal with it. Okay. This is my little sister Sarah, and she's 14 and she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. How long ago was it?
I don't even know.
About 4 years ago. It really gave me the push to try to be better, just to be able to help Sarah and to try to be a role model, I guess. It is hard and it does take hard work, but it can be done. You can pull through it. That's a nice shot of her butt. We could just keep traveling. It's okay to eat cake and a little bit of lollies here and then, but you just have to have your insulin and you got to test, and just to make sure that that's all in moderation.
Don't be scared of it or what people are going to think about it, because you think that everyone's going to take you as a weirdo because of it, or that you're going to be outcasted, but once you actually get out there and tell people, they're a lot more supportive than you would think they were.
And I mean, if you want to talk to other diabetics, they have things like McDonald's feasts and stuff, you know, that they're always going to want to try and help you ease into your well, I would say journey with diabetes. Yeah,
it's okay to have bad days and to feel like you don't want to test and you don't want to have your shots, but as long as you get back up and keep going, that's all that matters.
It's not going to change you too much, just, yeah.
Don't let it stop you.